Hey everybody, this is the Week 15 Ravens report. So I know it's Sunday. I didn't do it last night for whatever reason. It just wasn't, I guess, too. I just did the Harbaugh thing. I didn't want to, kind of, I guess, jumble up everything with too many videos at one time. So anyway, the Ravens play the Eagles today. So far as what I know, Jimmy Smith will be the only Raven that is out indefinitely for this game. As you know, he suffered an ankle injury against the Patriots that knocked him out in the first half, I believe. And it looks like a high ankle sprain from what they're saying, and it's probably going to take 5 or 6 weeks. I don't know how bad the sprain is, but the Ravens are going to have to plan on playing without him. And that is what concerns me going down the stretch. But anyway, when we get to this game real quick, and from what we're seeing, it looks like Yana's going to play. Alex Lewis looks like he might play. There's at least five guys in the questionable listing for the injury report, and as we all know, the probable listing is going. So there's a good possibility that Crockett Gilmore will play this week. Alex Lewis will play this week, so that means he goes back to his original left guard position, and then that means Yana will go back to his natural right guard position. So that would be, I think, the healthiest the offensive line has been probably since week one. Looks like Campanaro, he was activated to the 53-man roster, so it looks like he's going to take over the duties from Devin Hester, who was cut on Monday, cut on Tuesday or Wednesday after the Patriots game. So it looks like Campanaro is back in the lineup. I like Campanaro back in the lineup only because he provides a different look for Flacco. When he is in the game, I think Campanaro is definitely a game changer for the Ravens. His only problem is he just can't stay healthy. We saw in preseason plenty of times, and even during a regular season a couple years ago, that Campanaro he's like an Edelman Amendola type player where he can do the underneath stuff and he has enough quickness to go ahead and keep running and getting extra yards and shifty enough to do that. Like I said, the problem is he hasn't been in the lineup. So they haven't had that kind of guy in there. Steve Smith, runs those routes, but, doesn't seem like Flacco seems to find him a lot. But Campanaro being in there, where a lot of people are going to be really focusing on him and kind of, I guess, playing off of him and not covering him as much, we'll probably have some open looks today against the Eagles secondary. Now, on the Eagles side, the offense, it looks like Dorial Green-Beckham will be playing as wide receiver, and Jordan Matthews. They were dealing with some injuries the past few weeks, but now it looks like they will be playing. I don't think it's going to matter because of how bad the receiver core has been for the Eagles. The Eagles are on a down spiral right now. They've lost several games. They pretty much played themselves out of playoff contention. They're at a point now where I think that they're mentally checked out. It just seems that they're mentally checked out of this season, mainly because of the fact that the defense, while it did play well, was not good enough to hold them into games, keep them in the games. I think losing that Cowboys game was the start of a downward spiral for them, where a game that they could have won that would have definitely boosted them around, saying, hey, we just beat the best team in football. Now we can go out here and win the next few games. With them losing and how close they did and leading the whole game against that Cowboys team, and then losing I think in overtime, definitely was a huge negative impact on that team. And you can tell that, with not really being a leader on that team, like they're similar to the Ravens right now. The Ravens are still trudging along for whatever reason, but the Eagles seem to be just kind of down and out. They have a new head coach in Doug Peterson, and Carson Wentz is their quarterback, but he's a rookie, so he's starting to show the fact that he is a rookie. So for them, they're in a lull right now, and they really have no incentive at this point to go ahead and, at least on conference side, to go ahead and try to like play spoiler or whatever. They just seem to be really out of it. So I think going into this game, the Ravens, coming off of that loss to the Patriots, I know Harbaugh was trying to tell the media, oh, we played a good game, but we had some plays that didn't go our way and things like that. And it was a lot. The game. If everybody watched that game and saw the plays, that Patriots-Ravens game shouldn't have been that close. If it wasn't for those special teams plays, that Ravens team would have been blown out. They would have been beaten by like 30 points. I think the Patriots would have had like 30 points in the first half. It wouldn't have been close at that point. The Ravens offense was struggling. Any of the gains that they got from that Dolphins game were gone. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't pass the ball. They were letting go of the deep plays on defense. Tom Brady did what he wanted to do against that team. And then the Patriots defense locked down the Ravens offense. So what we've seen this season is that the Ravens are incapable of beating those elite teams. They're just not. They can play close. They can play them pretty tight, but they're not capable of beating them. And I think that's what's concerning me is now going into the next two games. I think they're going to go ahead and handle the Eagles today. I wanted to mention also Darren Sproles is not playing. He had a concussion last week. Didn't pass protocol during the week, so he's going to be out for this week. That's good for the Ravens because they don't have to deal with that kind of player. Darren Sproles is definitely that speedy guy that if he gets an open field is very dangerous. So I think with not having to deal with him, it's definitely going to help the Ravens defense out today. But going forward, I definitely think, with the Steelers coming up Christmas Day and then the Bengals coming back with A.J. Green, and I don't think Bernard's coming back. I think he's out for the season, but A.J. Green will be back. A.J. Green, the Ravens have been doing pretty well against the Bengals until A.J. Green starts going off. Once Andy Dalton starts finding A.J. Green in those games that we played him in, it's a wrap. A.J. Green just knows how to get open in that defense. He's a deep threat. He catches the ball over the Ravens defense. He's been the Achilles heel for the Ravens for the last 4 years. He's been single-handedly destroying the Ravens, him and Andy Dalton. So that's what concerns me going into the last 2 weeks. We're coming against now an Eagles team that's down and out, but that Steelers team coming up at Christmas Day is full strength. Le'Veon Bell have 300 yards the other week. Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger on. They're healthy right now. Their defense isn't great, but when you got an offense like theirs, the Pittsburgh Steelers, like I mentioned in my video, in the Harbaugh video, they're ranked right now 7th in the league. So we're going against another top-notch offense that we have not played well this year. We benefited from the fact that Ben Roethlisberger was coming off a knee injury in that first Ravens Steelers game. He didn't play well. And they had Jimmy Smith. If Jimmy Smith is not able to go Christmas Day, the Ravens are in trouble. Because who's going to lock down Antonio Brown? You may pit Tavon Young against him, but Antonio Brown is a veteran. I think he's good against the younger guys. But when you got a guy as shifty as Antonio Brown is, the way the Steelers are able to extend the play, and Ben Roethlisberger shrug off guys, the Ravens are in trouble against the Steelers. The Ravens are in big trouble, and they're playing in Pittsburgh. So I have hope for the Ravens going to the end of the season. But that hope is on the edge of a cliff right now. You're looking at this game, and this is a game the Ravens could lose. I'm talking about this Eagles game today. This is a game the Ravens can lose. They've done it before, where they should have gone to a game where they should blow out this team and make it way too close and end up losing. They lose this game, it's all over anyway. They would need so much help, I think, at that point that it just wouldn't be realistically possible for the Ravens to get in. And if I'm an NFL team, when you get help to get in, the way the Ravens have played this season, they've played one good game this season, and that was against the Dolphins. That's the one complete game they've had all season, and that was against the Dolphins. And you only have one good game you can really hold your hat on. You don't deserve to be in the playoffs. You're going against the quality teams from now on for the rest of for the next 3 weeks possibly. And if you can't beat the Kings of the Patriots and the Dallas Cowboys, and if you lose today to the Eagles, and then what happens against the Steelers? Let's say they beat the Eagles and they go against the Steelers and they lose to the Steelers and the Bengals. This season that ends up being like it was last year. Just a little bit better, get more wins, but basically last year. So I think going into this game, I think they go ahead and handle this game. They need to go ahead and find a run game early and go ahead and run the football. Kenneth Dixon has been good now for the last couple of weeks. I think he's starting to find his zone, his stride. You got to get him the ball. You you've got to convince Flacco. If I was a coach or coordinator, I would have been pounding into his head all week. We cannot do this dink and dunk stuff anymore. I'm taking it out of the playbook. I'm taking it out of the playbook. Okay, this dink and dunk stuff is not going to be there. If you see Kenneth Dixon or them running past the first down marker, fine, take it. But if you see anybody sitting underneath when it's 2nd and 10 or 3rd and 10 or whatever, and you're throwing it 2 yards to that guy, don't do it. We're fining you. We're taking money out of your paycheck. Like, that's one of those things I would be doing. I know it's extreme, but it's one of those things where I would have to just take those plays out of the playbook. I would have to. If I'm the coaches, and I mean, I don't know if that's reasonable or not, but you got to figure out how to tell Joe, like, we cannot continue to keep doing this. If we need first downs, I need you to throw it for a first down. I need you to throw it for 10 yards. I need you to throw this thing for 15 yards. Like, do what you did against the Miami game. What is it that was different, in the Miami game that was different from the Patriots game? Now, the one difference we saw some film that, they were able to lock down Pitta. They took away Pitta the entire game. And the receivers didn't really do a good job of getting open. Now, granted, I don't know if that's because the play calling is not calling for a lot of crossing routes and they're telling everybody just go deep into a zone and just kind of hopefully you find a space. I don't really see a lot of the crossing patterns that we see normally. I think they use that play a couple times a game and then they just go away from it. So I feel like they have plays that work. I just don't feel like they have. It's a combination of Flacco not being able to read defenses, Flacco not being able to adjust to set defenses, and I think and also the combination of the coordinators not being able to put sophisticated plays on the playbook that will be able to get you first down. I just don't think that the Ravens offensive unit is creative enough to do it. From the quarterback on down to the coordinators, I just don't think they're creative enough to get it done. We saw what happened with Gary Kubiak, with a less talented team, mind you, I think, offensively. And they were able to be a top 10 offense under Gary Kubiak. So he found a way to use those guys and create a solid offense. So I'm going to pick it up as the fact that the Ravens coordinators just aren't sophisticated enough to create a environment where the Ravens offense can thrive. You don't have to mimic certain teams. You just got to find out what you guys can do best and use that. Use that until they beat you, until somebody figures it out. But I just feel like the offense just isn't creative. Like I said, when you have a quarterback in the game and he's not able to read defenses or check out the plays and things like that, where he's just like, I get the play, I'm still going to run it regardless of what I see, you're not going to win many football games like that. You got to be able as a quarterback to go ahead and adjust when the defense is showing you something different than you expected. You got to be able to adjust to that. You got to be able to call an audible and switch to a different play. But Flacco's just not able to do that. So that's what concerns me going down the line against teams like the top-notch Steelers offense. And then even though they've been struggling, the Bengals, you got to worry about Andy Dalton and AJ Green. They have a chance right at that point at the end of the season to play spoiler to us to keep us out of the playoffs. So you'd have to believe they're going to be doing that. At least in the season on a good note. Right. So I think their Ravens are in trouble. They got to have another game like they did this week where they just got to go out and blow out this team against the Eagles. But the question is, can they carry it over to the Steelers game? Like I said, this is a team for the last 2 years that have played teams tough, but not have been able to put them away against good teams. They've been able to play these teams tough, but not been able to put them away. The Ravens have an opportunity next week against the Steelers to win the division title. If for some odd reason the Bengals beat the Steelers today, which is a very good possibility now that the Bengals are healthy again, if the Bengals beat the Steelers and the Ravens can beat the Eagles, and the Ravens go into Pittsburgh on that next Sunday and beat the Steelers, they will have controlled their own destiny and officially, not anybody else's help, and won the division and locked themselves up into a playoff spot. If the Steelers beat the Bengals today and the Ravens go into Pittsburgh and they played them tough, but they just didn't eke it out, I think, as I said, I said in my Powerball video, that Steelers game is going to be for the career for a few guys on this Ravens staff. If the Ravens don't go into that Steelers game and win that football game, knowing what the stakes are. And they don't win that football game. And I'm not saying that if they play a tight game, because the Ravens always play tight games with the Steelers. But I mean, if the Steelers go into that game and they embarrass the Ravens, and they beat them by like 20 points, it's not even close. If they go in there and embarrass the Ravens, and the Ravens offenses can't do anything, Harbaugh's gone, and I think the Ravens are looking at either taking money away from Flacco or trading him at that point. You have to do something. You got to do something to shake something up. You got to start somewhere. You have a young squad offensively and defensively that you need to go ahead and mold and tutor, and it's not working with the current staff that's in charge right now. So that's my little message to Flacco and Harbaugh, that you guys are playing for your careers right now. Well, while Flacco, you played great 2012, and then before that in those years, and in 2014 you had a good season under Gary Kubiak. What have you done for me lately? The Ravens can't keep existing as this kind of team in this space where they're just trying to eke into the playoffs each year. They can't continue to do that. They're not going to be successful that way. They don't want to be there. They don't want to be that, but their franchise mantra where they can just eke in there, or they can just sneak into the playoffs. As Ravens fans, we're sick of it. We're sick of it. We're sick of the mediocrity. We know this team can be better than what they are. We know that. They haven't shown it. We're sick of the mediocrity. We want to win at least 10 games. At least give me 10, 11 games. If you give me 10, 11 games of winning, even though the division's still may be tight, I don't care, because the AFC North is generally going to be pretty tough. But if you can give me 10 or 11 games, great. I'm tired of this 9-7, 8-8 crap. We're hoping, I hope Kansas City loses like we did the other season, the 2 seasons ago. I hope Kansas City loses so we can get in. I'm tired of that crap. The Ravens need to give us 10, 11 games a season. 10, 11 games. And you can split between the Bengals and Steelers. That's all I'm asking for. I think most Ravens fans, that's all we're asking for. I'm not saying going 14-2, go perfect. You can go 10-6, 11-5. The Ravens would have been capable of doing that this year if they were a better football team. Against the teams they played in the first 8 weeks, they could have easily won 10 games this season. But now they're hoping they can win. If they can win at least 9, we'll see. They could win 10 games this year. They're 7-6 right now. I'm sorry, they're not 7-6. I don't even know what the record is anymore. I think they are 7-6. They're 7-6 right now. So they still have an opportunity to go 10. They win this week. They win out and go 10, win 10 games. But to be honest, I think they're going to go 9-7. Another 9-7 season, missing the playoffs for the Ravens. I say I have hope, but I just realistically just don't think that this team is good enough to get there. Even if they do get there, I feel like they're going to get knocked out in the first round. It is what it is. But based on today's game, I do think they go out and handle business today. I think they play pissed off today against the Eagles just because they know this crunch time. They know they have to win each game now. You don't have any more mulligans anymore. You don't have any more. And how close they were against the Patriots game, even with the mistakes that the Patriots made and letting them back into the football game, you had an opportunity to win that football game. So I think they go into this game. I think they have another performance that they did against the Dolphins, and they go Jekyll and Hyde again, and they become Hyde instead of Jekyll. And they play well this game, and it looks like, oh man, they're going well into the Pittsburgh game, but then the Pittsburgh game could be something totally different, so we'll see. I think they win this game. I think they win the handle. I think they beat them. I think it's 30-10. I don't think the Eagles stand a chance. I think they beat them by 20 points. I think the Eagles go ahead and just kind of flounder the rest of the season. So I think Ravens handle business 30-10. I think Flacco throws three touchdowns. I think Dixon gets 1, and I think maybe Terrence West gets another. So that's about it. So I think it's my little spiel for right now, and let's hope the Ravens win, and then I'll do, I think, a little bigger presentation for the Ravens-Steelers game, which turned out to be a classic, Christmas Day. So everybody have a good Sunday, and I'll do my little Ravens post thing, my halftime from the hammock, and my little post game from the hammock as well. So I'll see you guys around 1 o'clock. All right, peace.